Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Wednesday, February 18th, and all of a sudden I've got an echo. You hear that?
Oh, hang on. I saw I was muted on StreamYard, and I was like, oh, that shouldn't be muted on the StreamYard.
Alas.
So my fault.
Alas and alack, we're back. Web3 101 Wednesday, ETH Denver, and it's so early for doing a show we're used to doing when the sun is like peeking over the horizon. It's extra early for you guys.
Who needs the sun?
Right?
When you have a really weak coffee. Combination of K-Cups, combination of decaf coffee that we found in a cupboard.
This is decaf?
Oh, there's a tiny bit of decaf. But it's like the pot's like half decaf because we're out of coffee. 1 K-Cup. And then we found a very, very, very old jar with a wooden spoon of what looks like the worst coffee you've ever seen and has no coffee smell but had to be coffee, and that's in the pot too.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, do me this favor. You're going to love me for this. For the people in YouTube land, Twitter land, Facebook land, this is our mobile studio. Everybody in TikTok, you're seeing it too. The people in podcast land, you got to go online to see the place we've got. It looks wonderful here.
I would give us all a tour, but I can't get out of where I am. I'm stuck.
Yeah. Do me a favor though, both of you. Turn your video on and go into the settings and change the mirror video setting, because now we have this weird thing where when I look to the right, it's to the left, and when Alex looks to the, you know what I mean? Like, so we gotta who set this up?
If I'm not mistaken,
was it me?
No, well, probably
it was me.
But if I'm not mistaken, it only looks like that to us, not on the broadcast.
What? Are you kidding me?
I'm 99%.
Yeah,
that is so wild. StreamYard rugging me, absolutely rugging me. Okay, that changed nothing. Okay, correct. Well, in that case, I'm going to put myself right here, and we'll just make Alex look like he's totally insane by looking in the wrong direction all the time.
Perfect.
That's fine.
Alex is correct, as is tradition.
Okay, we've got a great show planned for you today, but the first thing I want to get to before we get to any of the comments and the questions we've got prepared, like how do I avoid airdrop scams? We saw that one this morning. And how to plan your buys when you don't know how long the dip will last, is I want to get your opinions on Denver so far. We had a full day of events yesterday, and we've got a full day of events today. What do you think about the sentiment? What events did we go to? What's happening here at ETH Denver that you want to share with the people? And how are you?
I'm tired, but good. Like yesterday, I mean, it's just day one for me. Evan, you've been here for a little bit now. And I mean, I would say that there's been a lot of talk around privacy, but then again, the first event I went to was a privacy event. So, but there's more people here than I thought there was going to be, given the market conditions. I thought that there was going to be, a few more people not here, but everyone that I've been talking to, who's like a builder in the space, has been like a little excited and a little sad. Excited in the sense that the bear market gets rid of the people who aren't serious in the space, and you really just kind of, when you have events like this, meet the people who are really building and really serious and really here, or got lucky enough to be able to still have funding to survive through a whole bear market have runway, and they're going to be here, so who to spend your time with. And at the same time, sad because market sad, and market sad make all sad. So overall, the vibe is like, hey, I'm excited to not be looking at the charts, and I'm excited to really kind of be focusing on the work of the space. So overall, I'd say the vibe is fairly positive. And it's a little too soon for me to say like what the overall trend is. But one thing that I keep hearing again and again that we were hearing last time we were in Denver was AI agents. Yeah. AI agents are still the thing that everybody is talking about from a builder standpoint. So, but Evan, what about you? You've been here for a little bit longer. Has there been a continuous singular trend that you've noticed?
Bear market is the trend. Good to see you here, even though it's a bear market, is like the general sentiment. People are happy to be around their friends. They're building in spite of prices being down. And I think they're being really intentional about taking advantage of this. I haven't met as many newcomers as I have old timers, but I do see at a lot of events people who are new or new to crypto. There was a woman we got to meet last night, Christina, who she and her business partner works for ETH Denver, but they have a sauna business together. And she's not really a crypto person. And so we were talking just back and forth about her impressions of the space. I've met several people like that who are like, this is my first crypto event. I maybe do or don't hold crypto, but I am really interested in the industry in the space. This conference particularly attracts like
more of that,
not just like, I'm here for Bitcoin, I'm here for the money. We're talking to Michelle about that yesterday, like more than just Bitcoin. Yeah.
Yeah. It's in a world where, like crypto is still extremely tribal, and the communities are very singular.
Yeah,
this is the most, not to say that there's not work to be done, but it's the most diverse group, the Ethereum batch. I think that's evidence too of, you were at the World Fair, which is a lot more so. I mean, different continent. And then, next year, different continent yet again, or this year, I should say, hosting in Mumbai rather.
Well, I think it's also like Ethereum was the first, altcoin, where you could have like this community, like this platform crypto that you could build stuff off of. And so I think, you have a whole lot of other communities in the crypto ecosystem that might be like, no, it's only this thing, a little bit more so even than Ethereum, just because you had that like first culture get created of, oh, we have something different than Bitcoin, I'm interested. And there are people who like have a base nature of, oh, there's something new, I'm interested, as opposed to being like, no, that new thing's stupid, doesn't have as much transactions per second, or yada yada yada. So I think it's just kind of like ingrained into the culture of Ethereum to just kind of be like curious and wanting to learn about more ecosystems, as opposed to maybe being a little bit more siloed and just kind of staying within your sandbox.
Yeah. And, Mike, shout out in the comments, is saying it feels like from a lot of builders, we went from bear to bear. The bull market, it did seem, I think, shorter than people were hoping for or expecting. And I wonder if some of that is due to the uncertainty that people feel now. We had a question in the community earlier today about like, when do we think this is going to be over? And Alex, I saw you answered, I don't really know. It feels uncertain. And I remember last like cycle when we had that prolonged drop, price discovery, and then build back up, it felt like this in that time too. People took a while to accept like, oh no, we're not going back to the top for a while, we're here. Yeah, but I don't feel like anybody trusts it. Like half the people are expecting a rally somewhere, half the people are thinking we're going lower.
Well, I
feel like that's not untrue for like all the other bear markets. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more so, because I think more people, including myself, to be totally frank, thought the 4-year cycle was going to break and had broken. But like timing wise for the bear market, we're right here. The 4-year cycle is holding up, even though I feel like it really shouldn't be. But I think you had maybe a lot of people think that the 4-year cycle had ended. We'd seen a lot of historical trends break in this past 2 years or so. Yeah. And maybe that's added more hope that the grips of the bear market will be lighter. But also, like, on the flip side, what if it's worse?
I mean, the only cryptos that have received any sort of benefit from any of the crypto capital of the worlding that we've been doing allegedly have been the corporate ones, and those are also the most useless tokens that exist. So it's kind of this interesting scenario wherein the most aggressively useful things are also the things under the biggest threat of being throttled by current legislation. There was a comment about seeing hate for the industry, and I would not say hate, but yesterday actually was at the MetaMask event was the first time I've seen anyone of like a high profile that wasn't just like a talking head on Twitter address the optics and perception problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tomasz, who's the co-executive director of the Ethereum Foundation, was doing like a little fireside chat, and he said that unprompted. I forget what the question. Do you remember what the question that was asked?
No, but like honestly, it didn't have anything to do with that at all. He just kind of like went into it as like, this is a huge problem. But no, the conversation I think was initially the question was, how do you expect people to like really build and use on like Ethereum mainnet with like the UI not necessarily being the best, was like the initial question. And there was a pretense because a year prior, Tomasz had given a presentation that this gentleman had seen before, where it was like a very raw look as to like what it looks like to build on Ethereum. And he had asked like, hey, do you see that being a problem? Has the UI improved? And so Tomasz answered that question and then went off and talked about the things that he really thinks are actual problems. And that was one of them, the perception of crypto in the space. Is his exact words. I won't remember the exact words, but it was like, you have this bubble of the crypto space where really cool things are being built, but the film or the surface on the bubble is just like horrifically dirty and filthy and full of scum of like bad actors, but also scams, Ponzi schemes, and corruption. But then like the bubble of crypto, like what's in it, like the people who are building, like it's like a really great place where people are building good things, but like people see the film of the bubble first.
Yeah, his comment specifically was a newer person who does not have a perfectly curated timeline of the best stuff after years of whittling out all of the garbage and nonsense will get a very, very bad first impression of the industry, which makes me think of the way I have continued to say it for the past how many years is like, at this point, we are continuously marching towards more and more people looking at the industry for the first time. And we like forgot to put our nice shirt on and we're like drooling on ourselves and we didn't flush the toilet in the background and it just smells bad and we're like being rude and it's just boorish and gross. And that's like the first thing that everyone is seeing. And it's very disappointing because at his point, and I would agree, if I was to look at it as a brand new person that didn't have like the perfect avenue in to like get better information or see something, less upsetting happening, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's awful. That's exactly what I would imagine that the cryptocurrency industry would be. I'm a head out.
I wish we could get a clip of Tomasz saying that and just like repost it once a week.
Yeah.
Here is a, well, what's his role again? Or
co-executive
director. Here's the co-executive director of Ethereum Foundation telling you exactly what's wrong with the industry, and we're here to help. Would you like us to help? No. Okay. All right. Stupid. See you later, crypto industry. We'll ask you again tomorrow.
We had a really good question from It's Me 23. Good to see you. Who was asking what actually is a bear market, and we can give you some common definitions. In crypto, a lot of people will use this phrase anytime the market is significantly down. 20% is a common number that I see, but you might swing 20% in a day. With something like Bitcoin, though, if you look at the chart and you zoom out a couple months, you can see we were flirting with 130,000, and now we're at 67. So we've lost almost half of Bitcoin's value, and most crypto tokens are going to have a chart that looks something like this. You might also hear people define a bear market based on time or what the cycle looks like, focusing on like the trend, not just one particular crash. Usually this is measured in months, not days. Will, is there a good, I feel like we have a macro indicator, 2 months of this kind of data, like recessionary data where we're shrinking, not growing. Is that a definition, or am I just making that up?
Well, there is a definition, but it's, 2 quarters of GDP decline or lack of growth. But the thing is, and this was during Biden's administration where we had that and they were just like, no, it's not, no, that's not the definition. Like, no, you can Google for free. Google's
can't trust the internet.
You can't. No, don't do that. And so, technically we entered a recession in like the last year of the Biden administration, but then GDP came back and Trump's in, and GDP was, really grew horrible in Q1, but Q2 is really good. And so it's like, it's been going back and forth like a meme coin.
Give me about 45 degrees towards your mouth on that microphone.
45
Will
degrees.
Was doing you were doing the siren for a second where I'd get the, the
Oh, and so I was in and out of the audio.
Yeah,
okay,
you're
so
good.
I'll be less.
I thought it just sounded like you're trying to do like a fun voice effect.
No.
It's Me 23. Your question is good because you're going to hear a lot of different stuff from talking heads on the internet. This is a good thing to zoom out and look at the broader market. What is the rest of the market structured like? Is everything putting in lower high prices? When it pumps, does it go lower? Does it have less momentum? How long have we been below key levels? Those kinds of things are all different metrics. And when we say it on this show, we're referring to a mix of those things. Mm-hmm. But mostly I think of it in terms of like Bitcoin is significantly down, things are trending down, and they continue to be like a sustained thing, months, not days.
And just remember, this is the worst day of your life so far. It can always get worse. Hey, woo. Meanwhile, Evan's just looking at me just like, you son of a... I get the real life look from Evan, being like, dude, why do you... Negative note. Like, yeah, just remember, Bitcoin historically can fall typically 80%. And it would be really interesting to see if that happens, because it would ruin the theories that I and a lot of people had, which is like, well, now the ETFs are out. That's probably going to be a higher floor. However, we see Bitcoin, and Evan, you just went over. We're down 50% from the all-time high.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the stock market right now, and I'm looking at the stock market showing some like TA weakness as well. So it's like if the stock market has a meaningful correction over the past few months, like what does Bitcoin do? Does it go down another 40% to get us, 50% to get us to that, 80% correction that's typical in a bear market? And then if that happens and that's the bottom, okay, the 4-year cycles just here for Bitcoin for forever. Like no matter what happens and what adoption, like when does this trend break? So that'll be really interesting to analyze, because it'll show us all that this time, in fact, was not different.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Which is so frustrating, because I'm ready for it to be different. However, like predictability is nice, because then you're like, okay, I'll buy here and I'll sell here, and I don't care where the price is, and I'll walk away, and that'll be my strategy. And maybe that's what we all should have done.
Now, that's another question that we have is like, okay, so if you don't know how long the market is going to be, how do you time what you do? And we can talk about that, but I would like to drill down into it and yield it to you, Will, because I know you have to take a quick break to get on the phone with the soda company. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about from that topic of bear market, or does that seem like a good place to go?
No, I mean, the only thing I'll say, and I'll actually share my screen here real quick, and I'm doing this on my laptop, everybody. So what you see on the screen is me doing this on the little, the little finger pad of what have you. It's not on a mouse. So, and we've gone over this before. And
give me a little more of your microphone there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
And we've gone over this before, but historically, Bitcoin within this, I've been calling the golden pocket. It's like the ideal time historically to be buying Bitcoin from like a dollar cost average standpoint. And for those of you who this might be new, this is the 200-week exponential moving average and the 200-week simple moving average. And historically in bear markets, Bitcoin will enter this channel, and during one bear market, it stayed within it, and then the market recovered after, something like 6 months. In another part of the bear market, it was there for just 2 weeks. And in other bear markets historically, in 2 other times, it dipped below it for just a little bit, and then the market ranged for a while, or it dipped below it significantly, remained here for almost a year before then, recovering. So just know that Bitcoin 3 weeks ago entered that golden DCA time. So if you want to use historical trend analysis to decide like, hey, do I buy now or I'm waiting? Just understand that like dollar cost averaging once a week or once a month for the next, in your head, have like a 9-month target potentially, right? Be prepared for that, or maybe even a year, is historically a really good idea. So that's the last thing I'll mention in a bear market. And I'll show the examples here. Let me just zoom out. So we come all the way back to the bear market of 2022 to 2023. And you can see we entered our golden pocket. And this was the example I mentioned where, hey, we were below it from June 2022 to March of 2023, almost an entire year. And then the market blew up. But all of this was an amazing time to be scooping up Bitcoin. And then we come to the bear market here in 2018. It was in the pocket, amazing time to be scooping up Bitcoin, could have made a bunch of money. And then you had an opportunity again right here for those 2 weeks, and you had a great opportunity to make a bunch of money. And then we'll pull up one more example because that's the last example we have. Back here in the bear market of 2015, you had the opportunity to buy it. It dipped just below, and it was a great time to buy. So bear market wise, we have just entered the historical time where it's a really good idea if you wanted to buy Bitcoin to start buying it once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, or something like that, and to be prepared to do so over the next 9 to 10 months potentially. Okay, so that's the last thing I wanted to go over just from a TA standpoint, and that's the reason why I've doubled my daily dollar cost average into Bitcoin. So I mean, it's now 2 coffees a day. Hey, so it's not like I'm buying up like gigantic piles of it. I'll wait to buy gigantic piles of Bitcoin and other altcoins when I get a confirmed like TA structure that I like that's a bottom. It could be a double bottom, so price, comes down and Bitcoin has two really bullish wicks to the upside, shows that bulls really came in with momentum on the weekly chart. Or it could be a significant higher low and there was a lot of volume. And again, like really bullish candles, that would tell me, but I'm really keeping my eyes on the weekly chart and I'm waiting for confirmation. And I'm totally fine not buying the bottom with really big bags because one, timing the bottom is a loser's game. The only people who win that game are lucky. And two, I feel good because if I buy every day with a coffee's worth of Bitcoin or like what you can afford, then I will ultimately buy the bottom. So, I feel fine with that. So those are the last things I wanted to go over there.
Excellent. Then we'll have you back in a minute, yeah?
Yeah, you'll have me back in a minute.
Okay, cool. Then in that case, I'm going to do this and make my super big... Oh, I spotlighted the wrong person.
Star of the show.
Come on. What am I doing? Let me bump Will and figure out a way to make us...
You're doing great.
It hurts my soul so much.
I'm still here.
He's still here.
What the hell? Who let me drive this thing? If you're listening in podcast land and you're wondering, what do those guys get up to? Mostly, we're just trying not to hit our heads on the StreamYard display.
Pretty much.
Alex, we had another really good question today. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was a comment Mama B thing asked about, or commented rather, on the difficulty of figuring out a profit-taking strategy with regards to the cycle. And my reply was just that I never think about any kind of market cycle or structure or anything like that when it comes to profit-taking or buying, to be very honest. Given what Will's answer just was, like, it's clear you got to do what makes sense for you, whatever makes you feel the most comfortable. But like for me, it's all a percentage game. Yeah. I don't give a single shit where we think we are in a market or who thinks what cycle is broken or what the charts are saying or whatever. It's just a percentage game for me. If there's a position I have that I feel really good about and it's declining, then I'm looking at averaging in, keeping in mind whatever my cost basis is, which also has gotten me into trouble because like my average Bitcoin cost is about 57,000. And if we don't hit that, then everything I do is still increasing my average purchase price. Yeah, so, there's that. But as far as profit taking goes, it's just a percentage thing. And my threshold is very low, 15%. And I'm like seriously considering or taking some profit because 15% return on any investment is a good deal. Yeah. I'm not upset about that. And overall, it's been the single biggest level up. It was the only thing that really rotated me from having a portfolio that was like, losing / breaking even / maybe getting lucky once or twice to just consistently green. Was just always capitalizing when the market does anything. It goes down, I'm buying. It goes up, I'm selling. It goes sideways, I'm, kind of chilling for the most part. I mean, little tiny ranges and whatever. Maybe I'll scrape and whatever on, but I don't think about the cycle ever.
Me either. My strategy is exactly like you. I'm thinking about percentages, and I'm also thinking about I don't want to try and time the top or the bottom. I also don't want to be super active. I just want to have exposure so that when it moves, whatever direction it moves, I'm positioned to capitalize on it. If the price is down relative to what it's been, the Uniswap buy is a good example. A couple weeks ago, after eyeing Uniswap, considering the macro environment and thinking this could be a great buy at the right time, when prices started to dip, it was my first target to get some. Didn't hold any, wanted to get some exposure. And when it got down to $4, that was my target. So I bought my first bit. And I bought more than I would have. Like laddering in or DCAing in means if you want to buy, I don't know, $1,000, you might spread that out in 3 buys, accepting that maybe you'll miss the perfect bottom, buy a little more, buy a little less, whatever. Instead of doing that, I was like, okay, this is the position I want. And I went in probably twice as heavy as I would have using a strategy like that, like 1.5 of how much I wanted to get. And then the market dipped more and Uniswap was down at like $3. And I was thinking to myself, oh, well, that's a bummer. I still feel good about the price of $4. I'm sad I missed the $3 mark. But then the other day when BlackRock bought an undisclosed amount of tokens and the news pumped it up to like 4 whatever, we were live on the air. And I was like, oh, damn, I have got to act quick on this to sell my position because we're going right back down to $3. Like that kind of thing. If I would have missed it, it would have been okay. Because I didn't miss it though, like, I don't know, I was paying attention. It moved a certain percentage. Yeah. I took my money out, and then when it settled, I put it back in. It wasn't something I was doing math on the back of a napkin. I just was paying attention, knew how to take action, and then took the action.
Yeah. Yeah, nailed it.
And I'm not a day trader, like we're not sitting over here.
But you don't have to be. It's not.
No.
I think that's something that I've struggled to communicate because, if you're sitting here with the, typically, Will has said this, we've talked about it before, altcoins are bad long-term investments. Way more often than they are good ones. So, you kind of have to, but again, it feels like the wrong thing to say that, well, what you just have to do is day trade this stuff, because that's not really the answer either. It's more, I'm relatively reactive. I'm not like doing proactive buying, which is, I feel like the day trader idea, it's like trying to intake as much data as possible, make as informed a guess as you can, and then hope that you're right. Whereas I'm just more like, oh, it's up, I'll sell something. Oh, it's down, I'll buy something. Oh, it hasn't moved. Maybe I buy a little bit more. Maybe I just do nothing, whatever. There was a question about, is it a good time to buy like turbo assets? And for anyone unfamiliar, turbo is a product on DeFi Carrot wherein you can purchase a leveraged long position in a single token that doesn't really have the same downside liquidation risk. So it is a safer product to hold long-term for something. They offer it for Bitcoin. They offer it for Solana. They offer it for a couple of other things. Gold, a tokenized gold. Speaking of which, I think I told you yesterday, I talked to a guy who is curious about, social media coverage for some products, and they work on the institutional side in Europe to offer like retail accessible products to invest in, like metals, and the big one that they just tokenized was uranium.
The uranium guy.
The uranium guy.
Everyone in the audience, there's like 5 people in the audience who are like, oh, tokenized uranium, where did I get it?
Right, yeah.
I was thinking about you.
And so, with all that stuff, with Turbo, the same thing exists, right? So it's a leverage long position, meaning that if you buy it, you are longing the underlying asset. So if the price goes down, and it's low leverage, it's between like 1.5 and 4x at the max. And I've never really seen it linger higher than like 3.5 for any sort of extended period of time.
No.
So with that being said, right, like if you're buying that product and the price of the asset goes down, you're losing. If it goes down 10%, the price of your asset, the Turbo asset, goes down 30%. If it's at 3x, or 20% if it's at 2x, or whatever it is. The same is true on the inverse as well. So the exact same methodology and rule applies. If it swings up, I'm taking advantage of it. And the reason that I've gone so heavy with the Turbo thing is because I was just swing trading Solana, and now I can do that with light leverage, without having to worry about like shorting and all that sort of stuff, and longing and trading and using all those different platforms. It's just buying and selling a token. It's the same exact strategy I was using before. Except the percentage swings are much bigger. So you kind of get used to a little bit increased volatility. Like it's not weird for me to wake up one day and see it down 18% on a day because Solana took a 6% dip, or, on a 10% day, all of a sudden it's up 35%. Yeah. And I will absolutely sell that. Yeah. Every time.
Yeah. And proportionally, the swings are mostly the same, is why it's easy.
Yeah.
Just a point of clarification, because we've been saying long, and, if you're unfamiliar with leverage, futures trading, perpetuals, effectively what you're doing is it's different than owning a crypto asset outright. Doesn't matter if the price goes up or down, you still own Bitcoin. If you are in a leverage position, you are either long or short. You are playing roulette, and you are making a bet on the future direction of the price. If you are long, you are betting the price will go higher. If you are short, you are betting the price will go lower. And if the price moves against you, meaning opposite the direction of your bet, you can be liquidated. which means they will take money that you gave them to borrow more. It's gone. It's done. It's a forced seizure. You know, they hold it in escrow. So it's not just like, wow, I can get exposure to these assets and get more volatility and more gains. Yes, but the price you pay is you may lose all your assets if the price moves too far in one direction. We talk about, there's still a possibility of liquidation with Carrot, but the way an individual could manage their liquidation, this is, you know, getting a little technical maybe, they're doing that for you on the back end, and the leverage is low. Very low. The price of SOL would have to dramatically move very quickly to, you know, zero or something.
I think like, for context, the drop, the swing, that wick on 10-10 did not liquidate any positions.
Yeah, so it's a solid mechanic. It's well designed. We have a question here from Mixed Bag, who had some stocks, had some metals, was successful, and has about $40,000 he's considering diversifying into crypto. This will be his first crypto investment. And since he said diversifying specifically, I wonder if we can give like a 101. If you're somebody who's used to buying stocks and stuff, where would you advise that person to start, or anybody watching, listening? I think that's always a good question to answer. You want to invest, you want to buy crypto. What do you do next?
I mean, if it's the first time, like, just be super careful. Try not to get seduced by any of the altcoin nonsense. The
hucksters on social media.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm trying to think of like the dumbest things that I hear.
How about Pinlink? That ranks up there. No, that's
don't do that.
No,
I mean, like, people who say don't buy Bitcoin because the most it's going to do is a 3x or something like that from here. And why would you do that when you could buy Harry Potter Obama Sonic Inu and it could do 1,000x? And you know, so that's a terrible piece of advice that I would say be careful of. I don't know. I think honestly the best way to start is probably with a stable coin.
I agree.
And get used to the process, because you can outperform pretty much everybody trading crypto by yield farming a stable coin without having to buy a volatile asset.
Yeah.
So I honestly, like, even before I would say start buying Bitcoin, I don't think it's a bad idea to add like a little bit of that and sort of, you know, if I was going to get volatility exposure to an asset, I would want it to be Bitcoin, but you'd be amazed at what kind of annual percentage yield you can finagle with just buying a stable coin and parking it in a vault somewhere, or supplying it as collateral somewhere else, or looping it somewhere else. I'm talking about APYs on the super low risk conservative side of 6%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And on the,
but I'd feel good up to 20%. I was
gonna say
in a protocol I trusted.
In a loop, 15 to 25% is not uncommon.
Or like a new, like the Katana campaign. If there's somebody somewhere opening a new protocol and they're backed by people you trust, curated by Gauntlet or whatever, and they're going to offer you a 20% stablecoin yield plus extra in their native token, I would do that in a heartbeat.
And if you're doing between 6 and 25% in a year, I mean, historically, it's been considered great returns that everybody should be participating in to capitalize on the average return of 8% per year for the S&P as an index. So if you can consistently outperform the S&P by yield farming a stable coin,
that's as risky as the dollar.
That's as risky as holding dollars. Then okay, I shouldn't say that, because there is one separate risk. If you buy a stable coin, no single tokenized asset is completely devoid of risk, because someone has to issue that token. And so there is a risk that the issuer has a problem. And we've seen stable coins fail before, but those have been algorithmically maintained, which is sketchy to say the least anyway, or maintained by basically a criminal organization. So at this point, if you're sticking to USDC, USDG, kind of doing some stuff, honestly, like we were saying the other day, the PayPal dollar weirdly has some really good yield opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's relatively unlikely that a company like PayPal, even though they are PayPal and very centralized and not a DeFi thing by any stretch of the imagination at all, it's much less likely rather that PayPal is going to have a major solvency issue and depeg their stablecoin and lose. That would be catastrophic. And they have more regulations than your average fresh issuer might.
Yeah. I want to just like pare it back. Mixed Bag says the advice is appreciated, but that's like a broad scope plan. Let's give you the next 3 steps practically. The first thing I would do to execute that plan and start like getting to the level that Alex is at of knowing all these different stable coins, knowing all these opportunities, yield farming, is you need to create an account on a crypto exchange. If you already have that money from stocks and it's in Robinhood or something like that, I think that's a fine place to start. But I recommend crypto native exchanges like Coinbase, like Kraken, like Binance. You'll tend to have better products and services, easier access to if you want to move into a wallet and custody your tokens directly. So get an account on Coinbase or Kraken, and then move your money over. Buy something, $10 of Bitcoin, look around for their automatic buy feature, get a sense of what the fees are, and just get some exposure. Like Alex said to Bitcoin, prices are down on Bitcoin. This is a good time to buy Bitcoin now. You don't want to just park that whole 40,000 in Bitcoin probably, but you might want to grab $5,000 of Bitcoin just to have it and see what the experience is like while it's on a discount. And then you're motivated to pay attention to how it moves. You can decide to get more or less. You can decide to find another Bitcoin buying solution once you're comfortable with Coinbase, but you don't like the fees.
Well, and it's important, because like we can say that about Bitcoin looking at it now, knowing that, at some point in the future, it will be worth more than it is right now.
Yeah.
Also recognizing that it could go down. So you have to make sure that you're clear with yourself about what your time horizon looks like. Because if you're looking to, diversify a portfolio by adding cryptocurrency, but you have a very short time horizon, honestly, I would say don't.
Yeah, me too.
I firmly expect everything in the crypto market to continue to languish here at the very least, more likely to go down further. I mean, I keep saying there's not a single reason in the macro for markets to improve right now. There's not a single encouraging thing that is happening at scale that I would say could turn things around and put us back on the bull market track. At this point, I would strap in.
Yeah.
I want to clarify too, because there was a comment that makes me think I maybe just didn't say something clearly. The comment is invest, don't yield farm. You can make so much more return. Yeah. In a perfect world, certainly. It is possible to get a very outsized return investing in cryptocurrency. However, with that comes a whole different bag of risk.
Big time.
And a genuine, honest, this is financial advice. Don't fall headfirst into a new asset class like crypto. If you are used to investing in other things like index funds and all that sort of stuff, because it behaves completely differently. The risk profile is completely different. The time horizon that you need to have is completely different. The way that you are looking at and analyzing these things is completely different. They are not the same. So if you're starting, I do not recommend buying random altcoins, even things like Solana and Ethereum. I would say give it a second and learn something about the asset first and what it's for and how to use it and how to store it and yada, yada, whatever, all these different things before you just buy it. Now, I recognize in saying that it's very possible that someone who doesn't have a firm understanding of how this stuff works could just buy the thing, and then it could just go up, and then they could just sell it, and they could just capitalize on it. But I'm telling you from personal experience, for years, we realized I'm about to celebrate my 10-year anniversary in crypto.
That's crazy, man.
That's wild.
Dude, we're so old.
But I'm telling you from years and years, almost a decade now of personal experience, that if you do not understand the thing you are investing in, you will not make good decisions about it under pressure. And lots of decisions about what to do with crypto you are holding or buying or considering selling or whatever happen in a pressure-filled scenario when the market has done something aggressive that you did not expect and you're not emotionally or mentally or spiritually prepared for. So the likelihood that you will do the wrong thing and screw it up and sell something lower than you bought it for when all you really needed to do was wait 6 more months or not buy it in the first place is very high. So yeah, it's of course possible that, you could get a way more than 20% outsized return buying an altcoin, but you could also lose it. And so the lower risk option is to yield farm a stablecoin until you get your bearings and figure out what it is that you're doing and what you're even interested in. And then just be very mindful of the fact that the way that you see crypto represented on social media is often by people who have something to gain by selling it to you. So if you're brand new, you're going to hear XRP rumors immediately. Be careful of those. They are often overstated, misrepresented, misunderstood, and poorly communicated. Be very careful of someone telling you, well, hey, token so-and-so is like way down from its all-time high. Now is a great time to buy it. It might be down because it's trash.
And it's never coming back.
And it's never coming back, except maybe on some lottery win, lucky shot.
Lucky news break.
So like, just be careful. It is still very difficult to get like objective, critically informed information about cryptocurrency on social media. So you really gotta watch out for yourself.
Okay, you set me up perfectly to say the best place we have to help you learn is community.rumshq.com. It's in the bio everywhere. You can find it. You can sign up for a free profile in a couple of seconds. You can get in and start chatting with everybody there. A community of crypto users is the best place to ask your questions. You don't just want to be on social media leaving a comment that says, I have 7,000 XRP and I'm worried I'm going to lose it all. What am I going to do? That makes you a target. And I do want to transition to this airdrop scam thing, but I want to go back to the 1, 2, 3 steps. $40,000. If you're just trying to like forget it, set it, forget it, I don't want to touch it, I don't want to trade it, I just want to leave it there, I'm with Alex. If somebody has a 10-year time horizon, I'd buy Bitcoin on Coinbase and go away. I wouldn't trust any other asset enough to just stop looking at it. And the other thing is, if you want to get, when you sign up for your exchange, you buy a little Bitcoin to get exposure, learn about the process of buying and selling crypto. You could probably move that whole 40,000 onto Coinbase. If you're comfortable using banks, I feel you should be comfortable using Coinbase, Kraken, those regulated crypto exchanges.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Because you often can, like Alex said, even just sitting on Coinbase or Kraken right now, you're going to earn the equivalent of a high yield savings account on an asset that is as risky as the dollar. And because it's on that platform, can be easily, quickly moved as you learn into Bitcoin on chain into a wallet you own or control. That just like sets you up so that worst case, you're earning better than you would in your bank. Maybe you could sign up for the Coinbase debit card or crypto credit card. Mm-hmm. And then if you're using that, you're paying it off with your USDC that's earning you yield, you're earning Bitcoin rewards, and that's going to put you ahead of like 99% of all the people out here. Pretty much. Especially the people who are wondering which altcoin do I buy? Yeah. Those people are mostly, they're not going to make it.
It's putting aside the you have to become okay with the fact that like someone out there is going to get lucky and make more money than you.
And one of them will be an insufferable fool with a microphone.
Yeah. Probably a lot of them will be. But a lot of the insufferable fools with microphones will also lie to you to make a point, to make them seem more, what's the word I want? To seem more trustworthy, important, to seem more
secure, valuable,
important, more powerful, more worthy of your follow. And
but just like the rest of life, if somebody seems like they're trying to sell you something, they probably are. And the rightful king is the one who pulls the sword from the stone because they need it effortlessly, not the one who's like, I need that sword. I'm going to lead the charge. Listen to me. Do what I tell you. That's not the king. That's the fool. Mixed Bag has one last question. Let me talk about it, and then we'll pivot to what's yield farming and airdrops. Also, on the way here, I like that I can just reach over and touch you. I was like, the fuck? The hell is this man touching me? You could just mess with him. Why is average buy price important? You talk about it a lot, and Bearded wanted to know. I feel like it's just a frame of reference. For you personally.
It's twofold. It's a frame of reference for me so that I just can keep in mind, like, where my sell targets are and where my buy targets are and whatever. But also it's important for your tax, your tax obligation. Needing to understand how to calculate cost basis, how to calculate the capital gains that you could owe on a trade that you win. Or just an investment that you sell and realize profits on. Mostly frame of reference, but also there's a tax consideration. Okay. Can I clarify too, just because Bush asked about, he's like, no one recommends keeping crypto on a centralized exchange. And my counter was that we actually do quite a lot of the time. And I'll clarify too. There's nuance here.
Yeah.
I would not recommend to Evan that he custody all of his crypto on a centralized exchange.
No.
But I also disagree with a lot of the fear porn, for lack of a better word, that people spread about all of these exchanges being
they're going to take my money.
All of them being insolvent, all of them being just like a time bomb about to collapse. You know, we have seen bad ones, but we've also seen all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, bad banks,
bad phone companies, bad stores, all sorts of bad businesses.
Yeah.
Businesses go out of business all the time. And so there is that risk with a centralized exchange. The same, I think you're personally, like, if we're talking about the big ones, the Binances, the Krakens, the Coinbases, I think some random bank is way more likely to become insolvent than that. But the reason that I recommend to some people to start there, so everyone to start there, and to some people to stay there until you're comfortable, is if you're not confident in your ability to safely self-custody and maintain all those passwords and seed phrases and access to different wallets and everything else that is required when you are in control of all of your own assets, then you do just need to stay with a good, reputable, centralized exchange as you learn those skills and then graduate to that. I don't think you should sit there with the goal that you're going to stay on an exchange all the time forever. But 100%, there is nothing wrong with starting there and using that to kind of get your bearings while you then, get exposure to some stuff, get the very basics, experience some volatility for the first time, up or down, and then learn the skill that is self-custody before you go full decentralized exchange purchasing and wallet, whatever. I'm at the point where I still use an exchange regularly, but only to on-ramp. And then as soon as I on-ramp, it's going out, it's going somewhere else. I have other plans for it. But I would wholeheartedly recommend to any brand new person that, hey, no, maybe don't go buy cold storage and start 6 hot wallets and do all of that immediate withdraw from an exchange the first second you can and self-custody. I've seen more people lose money that way than I have seen people lose money keeping it on an exchange.
Yeah. And buying crypto, this is the last thing I want to say to Mixbag too, who was asking about, should I get a ledger? If you're just looking to buy and own crypto, not only do exchanges play nicely with your bank when you want to turn it back into cash or move it in, on ramp, off ramp, we call it, but it really is, it's easier and usually much cheaper to set up any kind of recurring or even one-time buy. You're going to pay a fee somewhere. Usually the fees are much higher on wallets because wallets are not in the business of having a pile of assets they can sell you. They are linking you to a third-party provider. They're going to charge you a fee. Your credit card payment processor is going to charge you a fee. The third-party provider, Moonshot or whoever, is going to charge you a fee. So it's usually much more expensive to buy on a wallet than it is to buy on an exchange. And when Alex asked, somebody asked about yield farming, this is a level 2 term that just means using your crypto assets to generate more income without selling them, temporarily reassigning them to some other work, the way that your bank does behind the scenes when you park your dollars in a savings account there. You are taking on the risk and potential for reward of doing an activity like that. So if you want to learn more about it, we've got a lot of great resources. Our partners, Jito, have made it possible for us to go a little deeper in the Solana DeFi ecosystem, where there are many opportunities to start earning yield on assets like stablecoins or Solana tokens. And if you're trying to get in touch with those assets, you got to go to community.rumshq.com and we'll hook you up. I'd like to touch this airdrop scam. Is that okay?
Yeah, there was a question from earlier.
Yeah. The tax question?
Yeah.
Let's answer it.
The unrealized gains question.
I can't find anything about this. I asked DD, are you Dutch? Because it seems like that's all I can find.
Yeah, it's so this very particular question is also being misrepresented, as all good, catchy, scary headlines are.
Read us into the question.
So the question is, what do you think about the 36% tax on unrealized gains? There's 2 things to understand about this. One, this has been proposed in places like the United States before, and it failed miserably. I would be willing to bet you money that it will never pass. So it's just it's one of those things that's a bill that's introduced with very little support that, could scare some people, whatever. The other thing to understand is that while you may sit here with like some unrealized gains and think to yourself, wow, that's awful. I strategically purchased this and I am holding it long term so that I can protect myself from some sort of massive tax theft on my assets because, I'm planning on holding this for more than a year so that I qualify for, for long-term capital gains. And so yeah, it looks like they are in the Netherlands. This 36% thing is a specifically about to be or going to be enacted policy in the Netherlands specifically. It is not anywhere else. The other thing to remember too is I would be very curious what like the lower end thresholds are on total amounts, because that is usually part of the conversation. Because the thing you have to understand about the unrealized gain tax question and conundrum is that lots of countries around the world are trying desperately to figure out how you can tax these unbelievably wealthy people whose wealth is tied up almost 100% in assets that they will never sell, that they will never pay taxes on, and they use that to basically subvert the tax game to the detriment of quite literally 99.9999999% of people. Unless I'm about to be incredibly surprised about you and your net worth, there is almost no shot that you are in the group of people that is like being targeted by. And I do think that regulators have a responsibility to talk about that more, because I don't think that this is appropriately in the conversation. Like the unrealized gains tax is supposed to be one possible method to tax the ultra billionaire.
Yeah. 100 million plus net worth,
Oh, higher than that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And again, in those thresholds, it only applies to amounts over that amount, like up to 100 million or up to 50 million or 10 or a billion or whatever would be protected. And then anything above that gets taxed at a very high rate. I don't expect there to be like a one size fits all, you can't just slap that unrealized gains tax on any country anywhere in the world and expect it to work. But the thing that you do have to understand and give maybe a little bit of like grace and credit to is that, governments are basically like consistently losing money because of inefficient tax strategies. And that just shifts the burden almost exclusively to like lower and middle class taxpayers to do that, as people think that they have to continuously protect and shield the ultra billionaires because they don't want them to leave their economy. Spoiler alert, they're going to leave anyway. I wouldn't allow that to like fear monger you too much. And I would be very curious to see what the minimum threshold is. If it's really low, if it's like, yeah, we're also taxing unrealized gains on people with portfolios less than $50,000, then yeah, I would 100% say that is an absolutely nonsense policy that is going to absolutely cripple people just trying to climb one or two rungs on the socioeconomic ladder. I would be 100% opposed to it. But if you have like $100 million dollar threshold to it, to be very honest, I think it's worth a shot, because at this point, like I said, 99.99% of us will continue to suffer with overbearing tax obligations, while the uber ultra wealthy 0.01% just continue to screw everybody forever and never pay anything to anybody in any taxes.
We've got a couple
I've always felt like, now that I've come into this conversation, I've always felt like the most effective way, like if you wanted to tax the rich, is to do a VAT tax on luxury goods. This isn't my idea. This was Andrew Yang's idea. And it was like, hey, a lot of people don't like the idea of taxing unrealized gains in any way, shape, or form. And I understand that. And then there's a lot of people who will say like, hey, you can't pass, like in Washington, just like an increase of tax the rich because they are rich, so they won't pass it. Mm-hmm. But something that might be more realistically achievable is a VAT tax on luxury goods. So VAT stands for value added tax. It is essentially like an additional sales tax, if you will, on, in this case, like mega yachts or, like a Rolex worth X amount of, tens of thousands of dollars, right? It's like on things that like, if you are really, really wealthy, but you don't live a super wealthy lifestyle, like, should you be penalized? Like, there's a very valid argument for saying no, but if you want to live that luxurious lifestyle, you got to pay a little bit more, and that bit goes into society. And that seemed just like more fair to me. So it's like, when it comes to a tax the rich strategy, like that's the one that seems the most fair. That's the one we should try to see like how effective it is. And then it's also probably the one that's most likely to get passed in, government where everyone enriches themselves and becomes rich and wants to protect themselves, you know?
Well, and two, I mean, you could immediately say that there would have to be significant carve-outs because, for example, imagine the perspective of the individual who has been systematically investing into a tax efficient retirement account like a Roth IRA, and that is technically holding unrealized gains that you've already been taxed on, and like an inefficient methodology of enforcing a new tax law by a government, because let's be honest, most of them are incompetent and idiots, could all of a sudden hit people like that.
Yeah,
which would just be
that would
probably
never,
the single
that
most
would never pass.
No, it would,
Yeah,
it would never pass
That'd be
because it's
ridiculous.
insane.
Yeah,
But I say that just to highlight the fact that you would need so much nuance to implement a policy like that and have it be anything short of a disaster.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. How did we get on this conversation?
It was a comment.
We were
Okay.
being asked about unrealized gains tax being proposed in the Netherlands. Talk about niche topics.
Yeah, like overall, it's, as a concept, taxing unrealized gains to me is absolutely ridiculous. But like, if you wanted to think about like what could get us to that point, I mean, like the United States is a perfect example because of the amount of debt that we have. So, eventually that's going to be a real big problem, and it's already degrading, the creditworthiness of the United States. And so, what do? You increase revenue, you cut expenses, and you refinance debt, right? So that's what you do. Three things. So how does the government make revenue? Taxes. Also, by acquiring assets like we kindly asked Venezuela for. Acquiring assets. How'd you get it? Don't ask. Yoink. Empires, empires do what empires do.
Empires
Empiring, right? So you acquire assets and you sell them to the market, right? So you have trade and things of that nature. But that's one thing too with like the tariffs. Like the tariffs are a tax. And so, again, like you could put in, tariffs in place. I really disagree very much so with increasing taxes on businesses because they employ people. And then they push those costs on to consumers, and they also fire people in order to offset them because they don't have a responsibility to serve the public. They have a responsibility to shareholders. So taxing businesses has never really made too much sense to me. But tariffs are an example where it's like, hey, we really need to increase revenue. Okay, tariffs. Okay, increase taxes on everybody. Okay, increase taxes on value-added taxes. Okay, increase taxes on unrealized gains if you really need to make money. And then also go out and do empire things and, steal that gas and steal that land and get that uranium and get those rare earth minerals and get different trade deals with people, right? Those are things you do. But then also cut expenses. Cut the government, cut the military, cut social programs. Like if you're really desperate, you cut everything, you increase revenue in every way, shape, or form if you're really, really, really serious about attacking the debt. But the thing is as more time goes by for the United States, the worse our debt problem becomes and the more likely we are to find ourselves in situations where it's like, shit, we need to start taxing unrealized gains. And hopefully we never get there. But at the same time, we're not really good at managing our budget. No. So it's like, oh, it's not great. But
also, I mean,
we'll see.
It's a absolutely massive topic that I would never.
And also, I'm not an expert in it for sure.
No, I would never bloviate to the point where I say like I have an idea to solve the tax crisis because it's horrendous and it's being, mismanaged. We're going back decades. This is not like a current administration, last administration thing. This is like decades upon decades of just like, purposely confusing laws and rules that you have to follow and just like bad spending habits and,
abuse of power
and, misappropriation of funds and terrible priority structures and, poor incentive structures for those making the rules. Like there are so many different pieces to this shit soup.
I think it's safe to put it to bed before we get further into the weeds of nuance.
Well, I don't even know if we can really. I don't even think we're any prepared at all to even go further into the weeds.
No.
This is all surface level talk. That's all we really got on this topic. I'd have to do way more research and probably get a degree.
I want to be faithful to the friend in our community, Tina, who shared the story of an airdrop scam. Tina sent us a message to share this, and I really appreciate you, Tina, for making time to write this out. She is a crypto user. She's a confident crypto user who's exploring going deeper, and she bought the white whale token. She bought about $300 of it that had appreciated, check this out, to $5,000. So great job, Tina. Good timing. And she was walking around with a wallet out in the wild, and she saw the news about an airdrop. I believe specifically this one was targeting Solana holders. And she clicked a link that prompted her to sign something with her wallet that gave somebody access. I don't know if she put in her seed phrase to import a wallet or if she just signed a bad transaction, but within her crypto was gone. She had a friend help her look it up on the blockchain explorer to verify that indeed it had left her wallet. It was sent to somebody else. Dang. So she was only out $300, even though it had appreciated to $5,000. But she asked if we could talk a little about how to avoid these crypto airdrop scams. And I just want to start by saying, don't be in a hurry to click a link, and don't hold things that are precious to you in the same wallet you use to explore new stuff. It costs nothing to create a new account, a new wallet with a separate seed phrase in MetaMask, in Phantom, in Trust Wallet, in Rabby, any wallet you use, Exodus, you name it, is going to give you the option. And Google will have a tutorial, or the Rise Up community can help you figure out how to create a new wallet, fund it with a little money so you can go. If you have to do something like an airdrop, you may need to use an older wallet, and then you'd want to like triple check. But just before I kick it off to these guys, I want to show you a screen share of how prevalent this is. If I'm on Twitter, because there's a lot of this on Twitter, but you'll see it on TikTok too. Comments that make you think you might be eligible for free money.
God, so bad.
Are you an XRP holder? Did you claim the Flare airdrop? Are you a Solana holder? Mr. Beast token is airdropping now. Sign up, that kind of thing. Always the same. If you can't verify it on an official gold or blue check marked project website, if they don't know about it in their Telegram or their Discord, if you can't verify it 2 or 3 ways and you just see it somewhere on the internet, you should not click it. You are not going to miss life-changing money because you didn't click that airdrop link. You will miss life-changing money because you clicked a bad link that caused you to compromise a wallet. Other words of wisdom about how to recognize these scams, how to avoid them, tips, tricks?
If you see a link, don't click it. It's true for everything. And if you do see something and you feel that pull to be like, oh, there's an airdrop I qualified for, I had no idea, go to that project's official Twitter page too and see if there's any mentionings of it. And usually there isn't. That's one thing you can do. Also, you have LLMs now too. So just ask it like, hey, was there an airdrop for this? And it'll probably tell you it was a likely scam too. So do those 2 things. But also there will be, this is different from a link, but there'll be dusting. That's the process where you have your wallet and you go and check it. And then you have like a whole bunch of cryptos in there, or maybe just one that you didn't buy. And it might even say like, it's worth $10,000 or like, a crazy amount of money. I've seen it, or maybe it's small, but they want you to try to like withdraw that or move it or interact with it. And it'll end up corrupting your wallet. And then they have like a backdoor to be able to kind of steal your money. So if you see something in your wallet that wasn't there and you're like, oh, I just got airdropped this. Oh my God, my wallet says it has an extra $10,000 or whatever. That's almost always a scam. So if you didn't do it and you're being given something for free, don't get in that van. That man does not have candy. Okay. like that's essentially the Web3 equivalent of like, hey, I got some candy in this van.
Pretty
like,
much.
don't do it. Like, that's the same thing there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, even legitimate airdrops can sometimes require you to use a wallet that is like not, like you said, your burner social wallet, or like a quick one that you just spun up in order to try something that might or might not be a scam. But you can still practice like good wallet hygiene beforehand. Like if you're not sure about it, it's not a bad practice to transfer assets that you don't want to risk out of that old wallet into a new holding wallet while you go do something and check your eligibility. Like a good example of that would be Pengu, honestly, when they were doing the Pengu airdrop, because it was very widespread and lots of different things qualified for it. One of which was just having an old Phantom address that had been active, years ago. And so when I went to claim my airdrop there, I was sketched out. And so I just emptied that Phantom wallet, the one that I knew would be eligible because it was the oldest. I just emptied it out into a new one. And then I went and connected knowing that, okay, even if I get phished right now, there's nothing in this wallet that can be stolen. I just won't get anything. I moved it all out of there. So you could do things like that too. I think the biggest lesson there is that with any legitimate airdrop or something like that you qualify for, you will always have time. And if you find yourself being like pressured to panic run in and do something, then that is the single biggest red flag. That's when you need to be like, oh, okay, don't. Not to put you on the spot, but you could tell a story about
Oh my gosh, yeah.
you rushing through
Yep.
something and not paying attention.
Yep. I was last year, maybe the year before, I don't know,
Year
about this
before.
time,
Yeah.
a year ago, 2 years ago, I was playing Crypto the Game, which is like Survivor, but online. 800 people, one remains at the end for a big pot of money, competing in all kinds of social games, challenges, races against the clock. So you're in a pressure environment and you're doing stuff with crypto. This is like a level 3 crypto game. You know, you might have to send crypto to a new wallet. You might have to connect to a new social protocol. You might have to track stuff on chain. And so I was using a social wallet, but because I was like prepped to do some crypto stuff, I had more tokens in it than I would have otherwise if I was doing like a new game for the first time. I was like, you know what? I had, you know, some ETH for multiple different chains. I had some old tokens that in retrospect, I probably should have created. I had created a new wallet to use as a stealth wallet, but I should have moved some assets out. And really, while I was playing Crypto the Game, had less in my wallet because it wasn't precious to me what I lost, but it was more than I would have liked.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading a post from Zora, which is like a Instagram, but make it crypto. And they were in and around Crypto the Game. And I happened to notice in the comment below this post I was investigating a, you know, test out this new feature. They were talking about a new feature and they were like, test it out here. The feature hadn't actually been deployed yet, but that comment made it look like it had. The comment had Zora's profile picture. It appeared to have their handle. It appeared to have a legitimate like check mark, and it had a link that looked like Zora's website. So I clicked it. The website that appeared looked like Zora. I'd been there before. And it prompted me to connect a wallet, and it gave me the different options. I chose my wallet, and then it popped up an interface that was like, oh, we can't establish a connection. You need to import your wallet or create a new one. And I was like, that seems kind of weird, but whatever. I'll import my wallet.
No.
And I put my seed phrase in. That's a legitimate way to use your seed phrase. If you want to import a wallet to another interface or somewhere else, you might use your seed phrase.
I've
Totally
done that
fine.
legitimately
all the time.
multiple times. Yeah.
Me too. Not a new thing. But after I did it, I was like, you know what? I need to verify that like Trust Wallet is the one I was using. Still works other places before I do this, because now I'm starting to feel sketched out. I had put my seed phrase in, went back to check my Trust Wallet other places, and I was like, wait a second, it's working fine. I went back to the link and I looked at it again, and I saw that it was different. It wasn't Zora.co. It was zo.ra.co or something like that. And I was like, oh no, this is not the real Zora. And I knew then, I was like, they've got my seed phrase. I went to revoke cash to sign a transaction to undo like the permission I had granted. But because I had given them my seed phrase, first of all, that was the wrong move. It was too late. I should have just tried to move stuff out of that wallet. They got the ETH, and that was the stuff of value. And honestly, it has made me, I have made that a burner wallet. I don't ever use it for anything now because I've compromised it.
Mm-hmm.
But it has made me sketched out to use Trust Wallet again, even though Trust Wallet is totally fine. I recommend it to people. There's like a trauma response in the back of my mind that I just don't want to use it. I think it's great, but it's not their fault. It's my fault. I was moving too quickly.
To be fair, though, they've also shit the bed before. Granted, I think they paid or are paying everybody back. They might be done by now.
What happened to them?
They had a.
Do I remember this?
Yeah, their browser extension had a bad security patch, and like millions of dollars was stolen or lost because of a
Classic.
Yeah.
Damn.
Remember that?
It happens to the.
Remember the comment from Tomas earlier in this stream we talked about, where it's like there's this bubble of really great things being built, but then there's this film of just like shit and failure that's like on the outside of the bubble. Yeah.
Yes.
We can just chalk up those failings as one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a comment that I was gonna take us back to here. If we let me scroll and find it.
Take us back to it, and I'm going to give you a point on the to be fair counter.
We're doing points right now?
Yeah,
I've been gone for a half hour. I haven't been able to get any points.
Yeah,
you
but
lost
we're not. You
you
it's
lost
just
so many points.
When did I lose? What?
I don't remember, but it was a lot.
I don't remember.
All I know is that you're losing.
Which reminds me to tell you, if you like the game of Dings and Glumps, you want to see everybody get points, come back tonight. We're going to be here for Rise Up After Dark. It'll probably be an abridged stream, at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. We've got some stuff to go to tonight, but that'll be a nice little break. We can catch up, and maybe we'll broadcast live from the tub.
We're not.
I'm trying to make it work so much.
Glumps. I got 10. This is bullshit.
That sounds about right. It could have been more. I wasn't paying attention.
Sounds about right.
The question was about blind signing while using OpenSea to sell stuff, like in this case, an ENS domain.
Okay.
So I think I might need a little bit more context to like fully answer the question, but I will try to infer the problem. Sometimes when you are, especially like listing a token or an asset like an NFT or a domain in this case for sale on a platform, you may pre-sign a transaction depending on how you are setting it up to sell. Like if you have on OpenSea, for example, it's been a while since I've sold something on OpenSea, so maybe something in the methodology has changed. But if you are looking to sell it for a specific amount, you may pre-sign authority for that transaction to complete and for the asset to transfer to the buyer if a certain price is given. You know, like think about eBay. On eBay, you know, there's like a, hey, I'm going to put this up for auction, but there's also a buy it now price. If someone doesn't want to wait for the auction to end, they could just like agree to pay me this amount. And perhaps, you know, the auction would have gotten higher than that, but whatever, this works for me. OpenSea has worked the same way, wherein, you know, you can put something up for auction and allow people to bid on it. I have, you know, like anyone can bid on anything. I have a handful of NFTs, and every now and then some nonsense offer comes in because most of them are worthless now. You know how that goes. Tails all the time. But if you have like a buy it now option for something that you're listing for sale on a platform like that, you may have to sign like transfer authority at the point when you list it, if the like buy it now price that you set is matched. So I would need a little bit more information, but the short answer is that there are different ways and different complexities with which you can set up sale transactions to execute and to confirm and to sign, perhaps blindly, when you sell stuff. But it depends on the platform and the asset and what you're trying to do. So, you know, definitely make sure that if you're signing something, you know, like why you're signing it and what you're signing. And if you don't, then don't do it.
I'm over here on OpenSea now, just because I wanted to see where prices were, and I'm looking at NFTs by pack to see if I can like scoop something up for $5 that I would have paid an ETH for a long time ago.
Probably,
dude. You're not joking about it.
Find a sneaky what was a sneaky vampire
syndicate? Yeah.
Dude, I remember the mint for that. I was at Universal when it was minting, and I like told my family, dude, this is like a blast from the past and an embarrassing story.
It's so embarrassing.
Like, guys, hold on. Because I was on the phone with Mac at the time because we were both trying to get into that mint.
Yeah.
So I'm like on the phone with another dweeb while I'm like at Universal Studios sitting on a bench trying to mint this stupid NFT. And then, of course, we missed the mint, and you like overpaid on gas unnecessarily. Gas was so expensive, hundreds of dollars. There's a misfire. It didn't work. The tokens launched. They're not revealed yet. They were sitting at like a quarter of an ETH on the floor right after the mint, and we were like, we should just get a couple. Like it's because at the time. It was going to be huge. It was the same artist that drew the Bored Apes. Like all of the necessary pieces for a great NFT Ponzi scheme existed. They were all there. And then I was like, you know what? No, this is stupid. Like it, you know, time is wrong. We missed the mint. Whatever. You know, ship has sailed. Then that piece of shit went to like 6 ETH.
Damn.
Very briefly, and me and Mac were just sitting there, just like, you know, a single tier, because we did the same thing for Goblin Town. I was at the launch Twitter space for Goblin Town when they were all just grunting at each other for like 24 straight hours. And then me and Mac were like, how much are these things? 0.01 ETH. They went to like 15.
Big.
That was peak crypto culture, man.
Oh my God. I skipped that one too. Like
it was funny when
Pudgy Penguins, I did the same thing.
I'll go through and just, as you know, Evan and Alex are ripping, and I'll go and I'll check Twitter to see if there's any headlines or whatever to mention. And as I was scrolling through just before this story came up, I see this post here, which was from Ashley Decan, which is, I purchased this Taproot Wizards NFT last year for $18,000. Today it's worth $5.
Yes.
So I saw that and I was like, oh, what perfect What perfect
Dude.
timing.
I can't believe it. Look at the quality.
Look at the quality.
The art is so dope.
The art is so dope.
Yeah. I don't want to go and look to see what the NFTs are worth in my wallet because I still have all of them. You know what?
The only NFTs I give a shit about are POAPs at this point.
You know what? And also the NFTs that we've been saying that we'll make that are all inside jokes in the Rise Up community.
Also, I still think NFTs are one of the
They're
coolest
still so
things
cool. They're still so cool
of all time. We just
not pictures, but like the technology. It's so cool.
We're still all emotionally recovering from the shell shock of that entire sector. I can't say entire. 99.999% of that sector just being a pyramid scheme. Who could have seen it coming?
Who could have seen it coming when we were all
well.
buying randomly generated art?
Guys, my Beanie
On the
Babies are
internet.
coming back in Valley. Don't worry.
They will.
someday.
They probably.
So
they
will my Hot
probably
Wheels cars.
Oh, dude, Hot Wheels cars are sick.
Okay, it's about that time. We got to start thinking about final thoughts, last questions, suggestions, good jokes, words of wisdom before we ride our dogs and ponies off into the sunset. I want to read a few comments. Back when we were talking about tax laws and taxing VAT for yachts, Cody said, the only boat I want to talk about is the Rum's pirate ship coming soon.
Yes, the pirate ship.
Amsfar said, amen to that, Seavish. So fund the pirate ship by participating in the community scholarship. Shout out to tokens that actually matter, like POAP. I onboarded someone to POAP last night. And we also gave many an example of like the stuff we're teaching people to do on chain. My favorite one to talk about has been the community scholarship. Our friends at Unlock Protocol made it possible for us to have a scholarship that you can use to support people in our community. You can buy $1, you can buy $5, $10, $250, $2,500, $10,000. If you really want to go out there to support community education and scholarship, you get a token. You can buy it with crypto or cash. That is like your immutable, can't be taken away from you badge that says, I was here, I was a part of this story. And we think that's so cool.
Yeah,
you can find the link for that in the community. And we've already got several gifts at several levels. We've got Cody, shout out Seavish, who is going to be the naming sponsor, first gift at the $250 level. We've got Jeff Rascal, who made the first gift at the $25 level. He will be the naming sponsor for that. That will be the Chiwi Scholarship after the legendary Chiwi the dog. The $10 Bearded Scholarship. It just goes on and on. We have several levels still available that don't have any gifts yet. If you make the first gift to a scholarship level, we will give you the right to name it, to pick the art for it. You could call it the, AlexRP Scholarship if you wanted to. That is a possibility. And we hope to get our sponsors involved. And at the end of the year, I just really look forward to looking at that collection on chain and seeing all these people who care about the work we do. And I want to tell a better story about crypto. I can't wait to show Unlock. Look at all these different gifts. And then to do it all again.
I still think, I mean, that from like a collectibles standpoint too, like there's great promise. And I mean, from verification, verified credentialing, especially in an AI world. Actually, Tomasz talked about that a little. You would have liked that answer. That was a good one. He took it there too. Someone asked him about the question. Well, it was like, what was it? How crypto companies are still not taken very seriously by like the AI world, and how do we change that perception? And this is kind of the answer that also then walked into the the optics problem. But he kind of talked a little bit about how you usually talk about it, that there are tokenization aspects to like verified credentialing in a world where you need better verification that something is authentic or real or not AI generated, which I would agree with. I still think that like collectibles are fun. I think that the ridiculously immediately inflated values of something that just came into existence 10 seconds ago at $20,000 is obscene, is absolutely obscene. But I love the idea of having collectibles that are tokenized that you can grab and hold and collect and trade around the same way that like I do with Magic cards or with anything else. I mean Pokemon cards or minifigs or anything like that.
Yeah.
That having those things tokenized, I just think makes them cooler.
What are you guys looking forward to today?
I don't know what's happening today.
Today we are okay. Here's the plan. At least on my agenda today.
I mean, opening ceremony. I got to go get badges. And
oh my God, when's the opening ceremony?
Dude, I don't know. That's what I have you for. Torii,
that's what we have you for. Torii.
I don't even have the opening ceremony on the schedule. I have going to catch up with Jeebs.
Yes.
And the Wave Capital Rodman Law folks at a tacos and tequila lunch.
Their
that
event
starts
is
at
today.
11:30.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Then
definitely-
Kraken.
Kraken has an event today.
Yeah.
They have an event today. That's stop number 2.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Is
then-
Arculus' event tonight or is that tomorrow?
That's
Thursday.
tomorrow. That's
Thursday.
I cannot believe I have remembered all this. I'm going to give myself a ding.
A
for tonight.
pre-ding.
And also,
We don't do
Will,
ding.
I'm giving you a pre-ding because Jane Polly said you better give Will a ding because he came back.
Better get a ding.
Okay,
Thank you, Jane.
so Wave Capital, Kraken. Then we've got the Stellar Game Night after dark, and then Crypto Karaoke. There's also an event hosted by Zerion, who is like the plumbing beneath the plumbing for pretty much every wallet you use. They're great. They have a sauna event that's
Zerion, do we know those guys?
we know them. I know them,
We know
and
them
I've talked about them.
From
And
Prague.
from no.
We didn't meet them in Prague?
No.
Who was that? Another company that sounds exactly the same?
Yes,
Cool.
I promise you,
Cool.
it wasn't Zerion.
Cool.
At least I don't think it was. If it was you guys, I'm so sorry. They're
If
great.
I created a crypto company, I would totally start it with X.
X,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
At what point, like whoever is consulting the business,
Yeah, that's
should
advice number
start
one.
with an X.
Start with an X and launch a token. Make sure it has X.
Make sure
And-
it has X, and XRP community will just give you all the money.
They will adopt you as
X
one of their
and
own.
2 other letters and you're gold.
Yep.
So we've got that. And then there's also a sauna event that Zerion is hosting. I was going to take a nap after the show because we've got a big day, but part of me is thinking I want to go do a sauna and a cold plunge. I don't know though. Could be the move. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Do either of you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to touch on before we shut this show down for now?
I don't know. Well, just one thing to keep on everybody's radar screen is PCE inflation data comes out this Friday. It looks like if you take a look at true inflation, that inflation is coming down. So I probably would lean to expecting good news from the PCE inflation data. Also, it does make sense. Like, yes, are tariffs inflationary? Yes, in the short term. But like long term, they beat up businesses who then fire people. And if people don't have jobs, they don't have money to spend. And therefore, demand for goods goes down. And that's a tariff thing, but it's also a Fed thing too. Like, what does the Fed do? Fed hikes rates, so there's less money around, so there's less jobs, and people have less money, and then they spend less money. We have a lot of very blunt instruments in today's financial system to go after inflation. Although that was not the point of tariffs, and there's a bunch of other economic policies you can put in place for it. But that's not a conversation for here nor right now. But PCE inflation comes out Friday morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The market will move off of that data. So keep your eyes open for it.
Alex, final thought before we hit the road?
No, I'm just excited to bring updates after we have another fulfilling and wonderful day.
Yep.
I guess I'll say this. DeFi is inevitable. I'm getting a little bit of a sense there that someone asked, like, what's it like, being at a conference like this in the bear market? And you were saying this one is a little bit more crowded and lively than previous bear market conferences that we've been to have been. I get a sense that people are like looking for the industry to heal. If you're not a crypto Twitter power user, good for you. Don't start. But like, there's a lot of like vitriol on the timeline there about how bad everything is and how everyone feels like they got duped by the administration. Hot take. And how the industry really needs to go through a bit of a renaissance, because like we're losing the plot, and it's just the vibes are really bad. And now I'm seeing a little bit more of a sense that like oh my god,
What you got?
just no.
The government rugged him.
The government rugged me.
The government rugged him.
Wow, that really derailed my thought train. Anyway, just like trying to get back to what brought us all here in the first place. I've been seeing a lot of that kind of talk, so I'm excited to like have those talks in person with people, and and I'm just like going up to everyone asking like, has anyone scared you about clarity yet? If not, please allow me. So that's going to be fun.
I want to shout out Torii, who gave us the assist about coffee. Right, 2 assists. New Build City is hosting the welcoming ceremony at 9:30. That's assist number 1. And she gave Kimberly, I got to shout out Kimberly and Torii for the assist. There is coffee downstairs for us. Kimberly was on the live and heard about our horrendous, like archaic, only a man would do it coffee brewing experiences. So nice. And now there is, in fact, a package outside of our door with coffee in it. So thank you, Kimberly.
Nice.
Thank you, Torii, for the coordination help. And you guys are just the best.
That's just wonderful.
Yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that great? I love it.
We got good people.
Double ding for Torii and Kimberly. Thank you very much. And my final hat question is about the hat. Cody, no, Kimberly did not knit this hat. This is
I did.
I did.
You foolish man.
I did.
My hats are all knitted by my grandma, and when she's gone, the supply will be gone. Super rare, one of one hats, and super rare everything. You know, life is precious when you share it with good people, and you make it precious for us by being the best part of what we do. So that's the crypto ethos. That's the Rise Up ethos. Come back and have more fun with us tonight. We're going to be live for After Dark. We'll be live again tomorrow for the morning show. If we don't stay out all night singing karaoke, but even then, we probably will do it.
I can assure you we won't.
I will.
I will too.
I will not.
Yeah. But when it happens, we'll tell you about it right here. Until then, everybody stay safe. Be well, my friends. Rise up.